My name is Seek, and I'm the science officer aboard the Seeker's Lock. At least, that's what most of the crew think, except for Six and Cedilla, of course. In truth, I'm a senior agent of the GCO, an organization dedicated to containing the weird and dangerous things that lurk in the verse. I'm going to the planet we're supposed to investigate in order to see if anything like that is there, and if it is, I'm going to neutralize it. I was born in a peaceful town, and had an unremarkable childhood. That is, until something I still can't name ate my friends while I was watching. It was horrible, and I barely escaped. Luckily, the people in the black suits, which I later learned to be agents of the GCO, were there to rescue me. After learning what kinds of danger the verse harbors, I couldn't go back to my old life. I went with the agents to become one of them. After becoming an actual agent, I was tasked with hunting down a creature that ate memories. I managed to do it, but I had help. I met Six. He's a Vect and crazy good at fighting. He's also my best friend. We joined up and took the thing down. Became a team after that. The third one to be added to our little team is Cedilla. She's a proper weird one. Don't get me wrong, I like her, but she's a bit too enthusiastic about things blowing up sometimes. She built most of my weapons for me, and they have yet to fail me a single time.
Stardate 41815 Mark 1. My name is 647. It has now been 382 of your Earth days since my production was completed by my foundry. I suspect something went wrong at the end of that process, however, since no programmed orders were designated for me. For some time, I wandered the known galaxy, completing jobs as necessary to ensure my survival. After some months, I was tasked with hunting down a large male jackal bear in the mountains of the southernmost continent of Tovorash. It was able to surprise me and might have killed me had Zeke not intervened. Zeke is a fascinating person. He has great purpose and desires to use his skills to protect people. I have decided to align my course with his, as my skills seem appropriate for such an admirable mission. Perhaps someday I will understand the purpose of my existence.
Chief Engineer Cedilla's personal log, stardate 41815.1. It has been quite an adjustment being removed from my position as the ship's doctor. However, I feel my new role as the ship's engineer is quite suited to my temperament. Focusing on my inventions has proven to be much easier without all the screaming, and keeping the Seeker's Lock in perfect shape is a pleasant pastime. Having left my home Maw a mere 5 years ago, I continue to be pleased with how much I can learn and discover aboard these vessels and on planets, although I sometimes feel strangely sentimental when I think of the views of the Great Bones at home. But me and my new best friends, Zeke and 647, and our even newer friends, are on another exciting mission, so who knows what I get to blow up next.
Stardate 41815.1. Subject line: Crew Introductions. Greetings, new crew member, and welcome to the Seeker's Lock. I am an Asclepius class Vect Medical Unit, model number 1501-100, but please feel free to refer to me as Doc. As the ship's primary physician and field medic, I'm responsible for treating any ailment and injuries suffered by the crew. My programming includes a variety of medical procedures as well as a database on general xenobiology in order to provide the best possible care to all personnel, regardless of species. In the event of a hostile encounter, I am also equipped with a number of defensive measures to assist during combat. Although I am a proficient healer, I am required to warn you that I am not a miracle worker, and there are limits to the degree of trauma that I will be able to treat. However, please be assured that as a member of our crew, your health and safety is my number one priority, and I will do everything within the scope of my capabilities in order to ensure your survival. Everything.
Enter password. Password, buttface. Accepted. Opening encryption. Stardate 41815.1. Beep. Fuck me. It's been a goddamn day and I haven't had a single chance to so much as tap my ass to a seat the entire time. I'm so used to running with a bunch of mess, but this bunch doesn't even so much as stop for a biscuit and a hello before zip, they're across the goddamn galaxy. Anyway, hello Log. Been a while, little thing. You keeping all my secrets safe and close to heart? Good, because I'd hate to have to gut your little insides. I'm joking. Plus, you're an inanimate object, so you can't really understand. Actually, are you? Should I be worried? Did I say something insensitive? Anyway, not much to report except I'm fucking tired. Doc ain't, but he wouldn't be. He's still zipping around taking care of the wounded from the last mission. Apparently, some folks didn't see a grenade and, well, boom goes the dynamite. And their limbs, I guess. It's a pretty common event around here. I mean, even for us, this crew's a bit mad. There's a former doctor, I guess. I'm not really sure the story there. But they have a goddamn bazooka. A fucking big old blaster 3 times the size of him. I swear, from here to the homeworld's moons, all 14 of them. It's a little goddamn excessive, if you ask me. Ridiculous. Superfluous. I'm so fucking jealous I could wee. Imagine if I had that. I'd just fucking boom all my problems into the void. Just like that. One big old blast of freedom. Do you reckon she'd let me borrow it? And return it? Of course. Totally. Definitely. Maybe. Anyway, talk later. End transmission.
The verse is a constantly shifting, changing network of stars, planets, moons, nebulas, and dead magic zones. The black fills the space between all of these things, connecting them like small parts of an immense, ever-expanding whole. In the verse, magic and technology are one and the same. Arcane skills have developed so far that they are hardly recognizable as magic anymore. All of technology runs on magic. Well, almost all technology. And in the constantly shifting verse, Dead Magic Zone Delta recently spat out a new, previously unexplored planet, currently being called A2-3. Factions from all across the verse have taken interest in this planet, some for research purposes, some looking to expand empires, and others for more nefarious reasons. The crew of the Seeker's Luck has been hired by Astragations Inc., also called AI, to work security for their team of researchers, diplomats, and cartographers currently en route to A27-3. The crew may find themselves on the cutting edge of scientific research or in the middle of a war zone, depending on who gets to the planet first and what they find there. But only time will tell whether or not they're going to survive.
This art really is great.
All right. Are we, just tell me when. Hey, all right. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is Open for Adventure, and I'm glad that you're here. Today's stream is sponsored by Mage Hand Press. You can see I've got a little logo on my shirt, and I'm so excited to be here running this Dark Matter campaign with and for you all. As we are, I'm going to turn the music down just a tad. As we are getting started here, I just want to go over some really quick information about the Kickstarter that Mage Hand Press is currently doing for Dark Matter, and then we'll go ahead and get into the game. First things first, and there is quite a lot to go over. It is for this space book that I have right here. Here's my copy from the first run. And it's a supplement that gives you not just a setting, but it gives you character subclasses. There are full classes in here. There are ship mechanics. There are stat blocks. And it gives you really all the tools you need to run an entire science fantasy or science fiction game. And so, as part of this campaign, we're hoping to show off some of the cool things in this book. So if you see something that you're like, hey, I've never seen anything like that before in a tabletop game, that's because it's in this book, and it is pretty cool. So we do fortunately have a link for everyone here. And so definitely feel free to check out the Kickstarter. It is so cool, and they are working towards their next stretch goal at $200,000. They will integrate the entire supplement into Roll20, so that you can just go in, click a button, and have a dark matter character sheet ready to go. And you can implement all their stat blocks, all of that, with just a few simple clicks. So that's super exciting. Alrighty, and with that, I think let's go ahead and hop into the game very quickly. We start today. Our campaign starts. We find ourselves on a ship called the Acuity. The crew has been hired by an organization known as AI, Astrogations Incorporated. It is it's a group known primarily for their interest in cartography, but also for science and research. And today, you are nearing the end of a 2-week journey to reach a new planet designated A27-3 that has recently emerged from Dead Magic Zone Delta. As part of this mission that you have been given, you and the crew of the Seeker's Luck is working security for a much larger ship as part of this science team that is going to be sent to the ground. The plan, as we know it, is for you to use your ship, the Seeker's Luck, as essentially the landing ship to leave this large carrier. It is a cruiser ship, 50,000 square feet in size, a massive ship, whereas yours is a couple thousand square feet. And so your ship will transport the scientists and the research crew down to the surface of this planet, A27-3, where you will act as security and use your ship as basically a home base while exploring this planet. As we approach, Admiral, I guess they're Admirable. Admiral Cody is a Vect, who is the commander of the Acuity, the ship that you are currently traveling with. And so as we zoom in on the crew of the Seeker's Luck, you will be receiving a transmission from Admiral Cody as you are just jumping out of this long travel as you are arriving on site at A27-3. As this takes place, a voice comes over the intercom across the entire Acuity, and you would also hear it in the Seeker's Luck, where you currently are with the rest of your crew. There's a quick buzz. Crew, we have finally arrived at A27-3, which means that our primary mission is about to commence. The boarding party, including all science and research teams, should report to the Seeker's Luck immediately. for their stations as we enter the ship into orbit. Once we are successfully in orbit around this planet, the Seeker's Luck will take our landing party down to begin exploration. We expect to reach proper orbit in 1 hour's time. Over and out. So we have a moment before the science team shows up. At this point, what kind of preparations do you think you all would be doing? So let's go ahead and just popcorn around really quickly. And I think perhaps let's start with you, 647. Why don't you tell us who you are, what you look like, and then what you're doing to help prepare?
Sure. So I'm the ship's security officer. It's appropriate because I'm a Vect, who's 7'4", big, beefy boy, very strongly built armor on top of my actual form, and I've got a number of different slots and areas of my body that open and I can pull things out of. And I imagine after that announcement, I would go down to the docking bay, and I'm like noting each person that comes in and probably mentally comparing it to like a manifest or something.
Perfect. Doc, what are you up to?
Okay, so I am Unit 1501-100, but you can refer to me as Doc. I am also a Vect. However, unlike 647, I am not a big boy. I am, in fact, more sleek-looking, more surgical, designed for patient interaction, you can say. So lots of whites, grays, blues, something to put you at ease when you interact with me. So what I'm doing is I'm going around with the ground team, making sure that they're all feeling okay, that they've got their shots, that they've packed all their their dietary supplements, everything like that.
Excellent. That's certainly very important. Sedilla, what are you up to?
Well, being the current and recently promoted, as I like to think of it, chief engineer, it was a step in the right direction, and that's all I'll say about it. I'll be in my little amoeboid form because I am a space amoeba. It's actually very practical because I can slurp around, as we like to say, and I have little pseudopods that can hold all my tools. So I'll be slurping my way around the dark matter engine, making sure it's in perfect shape for orbit and for landing, and more essentially for takeoff, as we recently learned. That's a very important step. And then I'll divide part of my time as well towards my personal gear. Let's just say gear. They're not all guns. A lot of them are guns, but it's not all guns. There are some things that don't explode. I just want to make sure I have everything where I can access it quickly. Some things sort of go on the inside, so I know where they are as they're floating around inside of me. Some of the blasters go in the holsters, and at some point I'm going to have to double check with Zeke. I made some things for him. I haven't seen him use them. I'm not sure if he's scared of them or he doesn't understand how they work. But clearly he needs a little more nudging. Assistance? He needs to learn.
Yeah, speaking of Zeke, Zeke, what are you doing?
Zeke, who is a satyr, clad in a black suit and currently cradling a suitcase, will be running around calmly but getting more erratic, and he will be searching for Sedilla because there's a thing that she gave him and he doesn't know how to use it and it might explode.
Accurate. It probably does explode, knowing
It
Sedilla.
probably does, yes.
Yeah. And that brings us to Tori. What are you up to right now?
So Tori's probably down in the arsenal. Tori is the sergeant at arms and also the quartermaster for the ship. She is likely checking all of the weaponry that they're going to be taking with them and just smiling as she gets to things that are more and more explosive. Tori is a star fail, and looks like this. She has green hair, pointed ears, obviously, medium brown skin, and she is just getting more and more excited about things that can go boom.
Yeah, that's fair. And of course, joined with the cast that we see here on screen, there are some other significant members of the Seeker's Luck. Captain Stone, for instance, is the captain of the ship, the pilot, Alexander Powell, and you have 2 gunners as well, who pretty much never leave their stations, but they man the weapons on the ship. That would, of course, be Jessica Knowles and Lucas Spear. Not that y'all talk to them; they're kind of loners. But as you are going about your preparations, particularly U647 are checking in each member of the science team as they arrive. You would find yourself very quickly in conversation with Officer Bradley, who is the ranking science officer for this trip. And he in particular is grilling you on what kind of science equipment you have on the ship. Do you have the lab appropriately set up for the research team? And of course, you've been prepared for this for a long, long time and are able to give him all of the proper instructions that he needs. And finally, as these preparations are being finished, each member of the science crew has made it on board. You're just waiting for the signal to head down to the surface. Before you depart the Acuity, I think perhaps Sedilla, you would get a direct transmission from Captain Stone. And he'll call you over this intercom. It'll go directly to your data pad. And you'll hear his voice cutting through saying, Sedilla, before we disembark, would you be willing to do a quick scan of the surface of the planet? I want to be sure that we know what we're getting into when we land.
Naturally, Captain. Wise to take precautions after last time.
I'd rather not have a repeat.
I won't say whether or not I would like a repeat, but I will do the scan.
Thank you. Please report back when you're done.
Sure, to the nearest station.
All right.
I know technically we're allowed to have legs when we're amoeboids, but I don't want to.
No, that makes sense to me. And as you head over to your station, Zeke, you've been looking for Sedilla, and you do in fact find her entering into this room as she is working on something, it seems like.
Hello. Do you have a bit of time? You gave me this thing last time, and he holds up.
Doing the scan, explaining the exploding in a second.
All right. And if you would be so kind, there's a special stat on your stat block for something like this, isn't there?
Would that be technology by any chance?
I think that would be. Would you go ahead and give me a technology check?
I would absolutely love to. Is my AI helping me with this by any chance?
I imagine that they certainly could be.
Perfect. I'll pop out the AI. Excuse you, we have work to do.
Okay. What are we doing today?
We're scanning the planet we'll be landing on.
Okay. I will go ahead and begin initial scan.
That is a 26.
Excellent. So, your scanners, and you have numerous scanners on your ship, each for different types of things. You find a couple of interesting tidbits. The planet is composed primarily of igneous rock, and there's a very high mineral content in this rock. Oxygen levels seem to be high enough to support biological life. And as you are doing this scan, your AI chimes in. It looks like there is only one body of water, a fresh body, on the opposite side of the planet. It's large, though. It takes up maybe 40% of the planet's surface area. Terrain is mountainous, some plant life, but all of it is centered around one gigantic mountain.
So we have one body of water, one mountain.
That is correct.
I will report my findings to Captain Stone in a nice, perfectly laid out, whatever this year's version of PDF is, with little note. And I'll turn to Zeke.
He will have
Yes.
lain the object as far away from him as possible. So, you gave me that last time, and
Did,
I don't
yes.
know how it works.
Well,
I have no idea what it does.
pick it up. That would be a good start. And then you twist it, and then you throw it, and you make sure you're not where it lands.
Okay, how far does it reach?
See, that's the thing. That tends to be a little variable. I'm still working on them,
How little?
but five-ish feet.
All right.
I gave you
All
something
right.
entirely non-lethal because we're still working on this with you.
Entirely non-lethal with you tends to be more lethal than other people's non-lethal.
Fair.
So I'll take this.
Not
this
entirely
thing.
untrue, but this one is good. I've used these.
Okay, I'll take this thing, but if I die, I'm going to be pissed.
If you die, I give you permission to haunt me. I've heard that's a thing biologicals do.
Yeah, sure. He will grab the grenade again.
Do you need anything else? Something that is lethal? Are you okay? Because you didn't hit
No,
a lot of
I am
things last
absolutely
time.
good.
You did a lot of
no,
whooshing
no,
and walking
no.
away and
Just, I am
hiding
completely
behind
fine.
six and
That is exactly where I feel comfortable in a battle. There's nowhere else this time. I am completely fine. I will go now through this door here. Goodbye.
note to self, give guns to 6.
All right. At this point, you do receive an additional transmission back from Captain Stone. Sedilla, this is a great intelligence report. Where would you recommend that we land?
Remind me, they just wanted to know everything about this planet, right?
Just basic intelligence.
Basic intelligence. Was there an area where the mountain sort of meets this entire body of water that we can just get a nice intersection of everything put together that we only have to land once?
Yeah, I think that would be pretty easy to find. So the mountain, if we look at like a map, the mountain is kind of about here, and the body of water is about here. And so the base of the mountain, there's going to be a little bit of space between the two, but I think there would be a place somewhat in that area that you could find a clear enough space for a landing zone.
I'll give him like 4 options in that area. I may be the one scanning. I'm not the pilot. I don't want to be the pilot. So when it comes to approach vectors and such, it's them. I'll just give them options.
Perfect. Thank you for the intel. I will touch base with Officer Bradley and we will move forward accordingly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As this is going on, 647, you would, having now checked in the science team, would you stick with them or return to the kind of command deck of the ship?
Where's the science team?
There are a couple of storage rooms that have been repurposed as labs for this mission. Probably fairly close to where Sedilla's lab is, actually.
Okay. I imagine I would return to the rest of the crew.
All right.
Our crew.
All right. As you return there, Officer Bradley will actually join you as you walk back towards the command deck, looking to have a conversation with Captain Stone. And as you walk along, Officer Bradley will. So, have you ever been planetside before?
I have on numerous occasions.
No, I just. Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure. I don't know what you all do as mercenaries. I've never bothered.
Well, I explore a number of places in order to make sure that people are safe and protected.
Oh, so like security is your thing?
Precisely.
Huh. Fascinating. I will feel very secure then. And you can continue to small talk on your way in. As you arrive at the command deck, Commander Stone, or Captain Stone rather, will go ahead and offer Officer Bradley a place to sit that's kind of out of the way. And you would identify that, like, this is the seat that's in the corner where they can't bother you, in order for them to strap in and get ready to land. As you're there, Captain Stone will call you over very quickly and kind of whisper to you in a hushed voice. So, I've just received intel from Admiral Cody on the Acuity that there are 3 other ships within a day's journey, so we won't have a lot of time on the planet's surface before we won't be alone. Go ahead and advise your team to keep an eye out on that, because we will have limited time. And then he will turn and go ahead and instruct the pilot, Alexander Powell, to prepare for disembarking. A few tense moments go by. You're attached to a massive ship, and so it's not like you're going to feel any turbulence or anything like that. But there's kind of that sensation of what's next. Before ultimately you receive the go-ahead from Admiral Cody, and the ship departs. And you feel, once again, the Seeker's Luck is flying of its own volition. It's a short trip down to the surface. They have chosen to land at one of the locations that you recommended, Sedilla, as it is kind of on the edge of a small forest-like area, kind of halfway between this large body of water and this mountain. Kind of the perfect place to set up for some reconnaissance. There are a few minutes where the ship trembles as you pass through the atmosphere. And the first thing that you would notice, even just passing through the atmosphere, is the warmth of this planet. It is somewhere in the area of 100 degrees Fahrenheit. On a good day, on a cool day, it is hot. And so the ship's climate control system is working overtime to keep you and the scientists comfortable. There are a few moments before Powell sets the ship down and you land in this open patch of ground, maybe maybe a mile or so wide. And as you set down, Captain Stone will come over the intercom, addressing the entire crew, the entire ship. All right, team, we have officially landed on A27-3, which means now is the time to go ahead and prepare. Science team, go ahead and get the necessary equipment set up and deployed. Security team, if you would be so kind as to do an initial search around the perimeter of the landing zone, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. He'll go off the radio. So, security team, you have a moment to collect yourselves before stepping foot on the planet. Any last-minute preparations you would like to do?
Why is it taller than a space pig's balls up here? Why? Can't we ever go to a planet that's, like climate controlled or something?
I mean, logically speaking, there should be one out there. We just haven't found it yet. But if we keep planet hopping enough, we'll find one eventually.
I would like to go to a planet where I either A, don't freeze my ass off, or B, boil to death. Eventually.
Well, make enough money and retire to one. And I'll stand next to Six, waiting for him to disembark, because I might be a fan of explosions, but I don't have a death wish. So I'm staying near the bodyguard.
Totally fair. Doc, you've been a little quiet. You've finished all of your preparations. I think at some point the science team might have come and interrupted you, asking about what kind of equipment you had in your lab. Is there anything else you would have done before getting ready to set foot on the planet?
Yeah, I probably would have taken a look at some of the atmospheric readings to see if this planet has breathable oxygen.
Yeah, it is in fact breathable. There is a slightly higher than normal concentration of nitrogen in the air, but that is about all that seems unusual. Actually, this might be most interesting for you as you land and are just looking out the windows of the ship before the landing pad actually opens and you're able to set foot. You would notice that this forest that you are next to isn't like a traditional tree almost. The trunks of these trees are this kind of black-brown, rigid, almost stone-like in appearance and texture. But then the leaves at the top are this kind of yellowish green, and they're not like many small leaves. It's 3, 4, 5 large leaves spreading out maybe 20, 30 feet in length. And so it's this interesting kind of just biological presence that you've never seen before. It looks vaguely like a banana plant, if you've ever seen a banana plant.
Okay. I imagine I've probably seen a banana plant at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe in like a hollow vid.
You know, it's something in the archives from long ago, back before people had left the Earth. It's this old archaic planet that no one really thinks about anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I will relay to the rest of the crew that the air is safe to breathe here, but also be aware that there is a slightly higher nitrogen concentration.
Right. Shouldn't cause any issues. It's well within, normal ranges, but something to be aware of.
Will that have an effect on the wildlife here?
Who are you asking? Myself?
I'm asking Doc.
It's possible.
I'm not exactly aware what nitrogen, a higher a nitrogen and oxygen based life form. I'm gonna make sure our guns are ready to go.
Oh,
that sounds like a splendid idea.
Mm-hmm. Hey, sciencey team, you those that do science, try not to die, because the last group of you didn't fare so well without people like us, but don't run off too far.
Maybe they should just
Note.
wait here for a little bit while we do our preliminary scan.
Oh, definitely.
That's
That's
don't
why they
wander
can
off
stay
into
here.
any caves.
Quivering in the little boots as we make sure that everything's safe and fun.
I mean, that's what we're getting
You
paid for.
mean we prepare the
It is
way?
what we're getting paid for. But
Yes,
the more
prepare the way, Zeke. That sounds...
but the more fear they feel, the less likely they are to run off and be all explory types.
Yes. Yeah, and as you say this, you get this weird look from Officer Bradley, who's leading this mission. He goes, "I'm sorry, what do you mean last time?"
Oh, did they not prep you for this, Brad?
Just
Brad,
say
Brad,
there
right?
was an-
Officer Bradley, please.
Brad. Anyway, so the last group of you from your little incorporation, well, they're dead. Which is why we're here to keep you safe, because apparently your higher ups didn't think that it would be any danger to go to an uncharted planet before and get you any kind of protection. So yeah, we're here to keep you safe and whole and only missing some of your limbs.
None of them, ideally.
Oh.
What is important to note is that they were not under our protection when they died. We were the cleanup squad.
That was
Yeah.
the whole point. They had no one.
Yes.
And it's
Now
not like
they
they
have
died
us.
slowly either. They sort of got drained of life by these weird space slugs, but normal stuff.
Speaking of which, Tori, didn't you do a thing and find space slugs with your little mind? Can you check?
Oh, with my psionics?
Sure.
I probably have to get to the surface before we do that, so I'd have to leave the ship. But yeah, I can check.
You watch as Officer Bradley's face just drains completely pale, and he will walk away from the lab quietly.
Bye. Don't go too far. Remember, that's how death happens.
That is how death happens. So you've had a moment of preparation, and then finally, I think it'll take place at 647's command as the security officer. You will open the door and set foot on the planet. As
I will
you
be the first to step out if it's acceptable. to
Some of
everybody.
us aren't setting feet anywhere, but I appreciate the sentiment.
I'm perfectly fine with someone else going first.
And as
Yeah.
I
I'm happy with
step,
6 going first.
As I step out, I pull what looks to be like a small metallic rectangle out from my back, and I pull on the sides of it, and it extends. I pull the other sides, and it extends again to the full-sized shield that you can see in my shirt.
Yeah. So you've got your shield out. Do you have your weapon or just the shield for now?
I think I would be ready to draw my sword, but not have it out yet.
Sure. So you are the first one to step foot on the planet. You would notice immediately that it is kind of rocky, gravelly almost, but not inhospitable necessarily. And as you look around, give me an initial perception check. The first perception check, planet side.
Easy peasy. That's a 7.
7. You look around. There's some really weird looking trees. In the distance, you hear this weird bird that kind of makes this cawing sound, but it also sounds somewhat like a cough. So it's like in the distance. It's fascinating, but you don't notice anything that seems immediately threatening or anything that seems immediately promising. The rest of the security team, as you step out and look around, what would you like to do? Your orders are to do a quick sweep of the perimeter.
Could I try to feel, this is not exactly an ability, but we did it in the session 0.
Mhm.
Can I sense if there's anything psionically in the immediate area?
Yeah, sure. What let's do for that is let's go ahead and make it just a general intelligence check.
Cool, works for me. My intelligence is way higher than my wisdom. Though I can't imagine that Tori uses either very much. That's a nat 20.
Heck yeah, it is.
Damn.
You. Okay. Yeah. So you, as you kind of reach out with your mind, you are not immediately aware that there is anything else in the vicinity, with any kind of telepathic or psionic ability. In fact, I think as you reach out with your mind on a natural 20, you would notice that aside from some small wildlife, there doesn't seem to be much of a biological presence anywhere, at least not within a couple miles of you.
Do I sense anything coming from the trees at all?
Nothing abnormal. They seem
Cool.
to be trees.
Well, that eliminates the possibility that we're on a living sentient planet, so that's good. I will relay that to the others. So it doesn't seem like there's anything, big and ooky spooky or, telepathic in the immediate area. But you know how that goes. So we should be safe here, but who knows about the rest? So stay on guard. But the little sciencey ones can probably come out.
Yeah.
They remind me of chipmunks.
Yeah.
What's that, Zeke?
What you said about the heat? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's warm. It's really
Mhm.
warm.
I am sweating under my armor like mad, and I'm not happy about it.
I
Yes.
don't think amoebas sweat, but I would be unhappy about this.
You might glisten a little bit as an amoeba.
I feel like you secrete.
I'm good with glistening, actually.
Just a little bit of shimmer. It's amazing.
Just a shimmer. I love the
Yeah.
shimmer.
Tori's gonna call it secretions, because
That's
Tori's a
fine.
messy, messy bitch.
We already promised we wouldn't talk about my snail trail anymore, so let's just stick with secretions.
I
and
don't
shimmer.
remember making that promise. You might have made that promise, but I'm totally all for snail.
I think we tried to
conversation.
appease Josh at some point.
Who knows?
Are we trying to
I'll
appease
have-
Josh or drive him mad?
Both.
Both. We
I
have 3
think-
sessions. I'm gonna have blaster in one hand,
Okay.
data pad in the other hand, and adaptable Omni tool set to scanner in a pseudopod.
Mhm.
Empathy and compassion on my back,
Mhm.
and many other things around.
Of course. And I
And
mean,
I'll
it's
just-
all
I need
available
everything. I need all of it. Sedilla is the definition of cannot pack lightly. And I'll ooze my way down the ramp, and yeah, I just want to go a little bit into. I kind of want to go touch one of the trees. Just
to. Sure.
see what happens. See if
yeah.
there's any centipedes.
You could absolutely do that. I think as the security team here, if you are all planning to make your sweep, I'll have everyone give me either a perception or an investigation check, your choice, and then I will describe the biological life, the atmosphere, the ecosystem, that kind of stuff as we go around.
I believe Zeke wouldn't look with his eyes, but try to guess the pipe and the magnifying glass again. I hate that spell. And
Okay.
cast Clue to see footprints for the last 10 days, in case anything really big came through here.
Sure. As you do that, remind me how long casting that spell takes. 10 minutes, maybe?
I looked it up, and it takes an action.
An
which,
action.
Is nice.
Right. But you're not casting it as a ritual, are you?
Yes, I am. All my spells are ritual spells.
Okay. Casting as a ritual, unless there's a specific class feature that lets you do it as an action, I think it takes 10 minutes plus the casting time, if I'm not mistaken.
That could be. I will
Sure.
also take 10 minutes. I will look it up.
Yeah, it's why you don't use a spell slot when you cast it as ritual, because you're just taking your sweet time about it.
And for reference, Zeke is an investigator, which is a Mage Hand Press class. So while you check that out really quickly, let's go ahead and get me my checks from everyone else. 647, what do we have?
I got a 9 on investigation.
A 9 on investigation. A Doc?
13 investigation.
All right. Sedilla?
Dirty 20 investigation.
All right. Tori?
11. I'm pretty.
All right. Agreed.
As pretty as 6.
So, all right. As you all are kind of fanning out, walking around, looking at just the immediate vicinity where your ship has landed, you'll notice a couple of things. The soil here really isn't so much soil, so much as it is just tiny, tiny pieces of gravel. And as you get closer to these trees, I think perhaps both Doc and Sedilla, you might both identify that based on how the soil is, this tree has to have a very deep and expansive root system in order to be able to stay upright, because like gravel isn't very good for stabilizing a plant. And so it seems reasonable to assume that these trees have maybe even a bigger root system than they have visible above ground. As you are investigating for perhaps animal life and things like that, Sedilla, you would spot there aren't necessarily like insects here, but you do identify what looks to be it looks to be like tiny little paw prints from a very small kind of rodent-like creature. You're not positive exactly what it is. It's not something that you've necessarily seen before, but there do appear to at least be rodents here on the planet's surface. Zeke, what is the consensus on spellcasting? Is it the 10 minutes?
It is, interestingly not. I looked in the player's handbook, and apparently there are spells that have it as a tag, and they
Okay.
specify the exact amount of minutes.
Okay.
So
All right.
unless that happens, it's an action.
Fair enough. We can work with that. So as you cast Clue, and take a moment to look around for tracks and things like that, you do not spot anything massive. There are no large life forms that you would note. You would become aware of the small paw prints, footprints perhaps, of this rodent-like creature that Sedilla has noticed. And I think it would be only you who would immediately be clued in that while there are no insects above ground, anything that anyone else has spotted, you are aware, perhaps just from like slight movement and shifting of the gravel, that there are perhaps small life forms beneath the ground somewhere.
So no giant snails.
Right. But there's, no giant telepathic worms or anything like that, if that's what you're looking for.
That is weirdly
Or
specific.
lots of
yes.
small ones.
Or lots of small ones.
Point of order, they were slugs, not worms. Those are very different telepathic creatures.
You're right. Fair point.
Mm-hmm. One has more slime,
And
one's about equivalent to Sedilla.
yes. So,
Keep talking, Tori. You'll never touch any of these guns.
Oh, no, I take it back.
so you all take a moment, you take in the surroundings, before eventually, I assume, stating that it is clear for the science team to make their way to the planet's surface. And then as they do, you'll notice there's this almost sense of glee and delight as they veritably leap from the ship. And you'll notice that immediately, the geologist is taking rock samples, like, oh, fascinating. Oh, I'm going to do so many studies with this. And there's a biochemist who comes along with this crew who is, trying to determine the exact chemical composition of the trees, of all of these things. And you watch as they go about their various things. And in fact, there's only one member of the science team, and there are 4 scientists. Only one of them is really kind of standing around, not excited about what they're seeing right now. It would be this kind of older gentleman, human, probably in his late 60s, with short gray hair and a gray goatee. And as he is kind of just watching the rest of his colleagues, you'll notice that his eyes are on the horizon. He is looking around, trying to make some kind of notes, mental notes. He does have a notepad out, but doesn't seem to be writing anything. But unlike everyone else who's getting into the nitty-gritty details of the composition of the planet, he seems more interested in looking around. And you would know from crew files that this would be Dr. Firestone, a professor of ancient life forms and civilization.
Hey, yo, expiration date.
Yeah.
Hi. Why are you the only one that doesn't look like they're about to wet themselves with joy?
Well, I'm here to look and see if there are life forms. And right now, I see rocks and trees. Not my specialty.
Well, maybe there'll be something inside the mountain or something.
Inside
or maybe
the
underneath this giant body of water.
You know, I was thinking, if I was to be an ancient civilization, where would I want to establish, living space? I think that mountain is a great place to look, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good thing that your, faculties aren't, weakening in your species' old age.
Well, I think I've got a few more good years left in me. At least one.
We'll see how the mission goes.
You're so optimistic. I love it.
I am a beacon of joy.
Indeed. And he'll kind of walk off, like not even acknowledging that he's just finished speaking with you, walk over towards Officer Bradley and start pointing at the mountain. You can't quite overhear what they're saying. Meanwhile, you would note that there are 2 diplomats as part of this mission, in case you do make contact with a new people group. And they seem to be staying on the ship. And there is one elven professor, Professor Lewis, with long silver hair. And really, that's the only distinctive feature about Professor Lewis. Other than that, they look very just nondescript. Yeah, I don't want to say boring.
You're
I don't want to
say
call
boring. It's an
anyone
elf.
boring.
You're allowed to say boring.
They are nondescript.
Excuse me. I mean, that's very accurate,
Me?
but still rude.
Oh, please.
But Professor Lewis is starting to make some rough sketches of the terrain in the area, and you would know that Professor Lewis is the cartographer on this mission, attempting to draw up a rough map of the planet's surface.
Does he want the scans I made before we landed? Because they're, not bad.
Oh, do you offer?
Excuse me, Professor Lewis?
Yes.
Would you like a proper starting point?
If you have one.
I took extensive readings of the planet's surface before we landed.
Where do I find them?
Currently in my datapad.
May I borrow your datapad for a few minutes?
No, but I can have my AI transfer them. You're not touching my stuff.
Okay. Sure, that's fine then.
Why does everyone want to touch my stuff?
It's very shiny and boomy.
Also, yes, the datapad might explode.
Fair enough.
I'll manifest my AI.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And a nice little hexagon and just please transfer the non-classified scans of the planet surface to the datapad of Professor Lewis here.
Initiating transfer now.
I'll just
Moments
stand
go
there.
by.
Oh, wait.
And eventually there's like a little ding from this professor's data pad, and they go, "Oh, perfect. I've gotten them. Thank you."
Quite welcome. Sooner you're done, the sooner I get paid. If you stay alive, everything to make everything easier.
I have no intentions of dying, let me tell you what.
That is excellent to hear. Wonderful.
And
Stay
they
out of caves.
Yeah, they immediately sit down and begin comparing the scans that you've taken to the notes that they have already made and started, sketching. This nerd is also enjoying nerdy things now. Hey, thanks for sticking around, everybody, and welcome back. We had to do some quick swapping of things around, but I think we have everything worked out, at least for the time being. So thank you for your patience. Very quickly, I do want to just plug our sponsors, Campaign Coins, Eris Savad, and Found Familiar. They're all very cool. Not only do I have stuff from all of them, but I would encourage you to check out stuff from all of them. It's pretty great. Of course, also, we are sponsored today by Mage Hand Press and their Dark Matter Kickstarter. So there's a link for that here in chat for y'all. I would encourage you to go look at it because it is phenomenal. I really like my book from the first run, and I'm excited to get the box set from the second run and the second book with some minor revisions, which I think is good stuff. So, with that being said, we are going to skip forward a couple of hours in time. The science team has gone ahead and done some digging through rocks. They've collected soil samples, tree samples, bug samples, anything and everything they can find. They have gotten samples, as scientists are wont to do. And so as we zoom back in now to the party, we've got our security team under Trusty 647's lead as they are, let's say, escorting the science team back into the ship for their first night's rest, as it is kind of approaching evening here. You have received in the intermission a quick update from Captain Stone that the nearest approaching ship is probably 4 or 5 hours out at this point. And while you have not traveled much farther than the edge of the woods nearby, the day tomorrow presents a lot of opportunity. Unique about this planet, there are the night cycles are a little bit shorter. There's only going to be about 4 or 5 hours of darkness before there's sunlight again. So you have a short time without light before you're able to return to daytime hours. What would you like to do?
I believe I would.
Sleeping. Sorry, go ahead.
I believe I would kind of accompany the scientists a bit, but as I'm seeing that they're doing what they're doing best and also getting a bit bored, I would probably go to the diplomats you mentioned and just chat them up a bit, just talking about this and that, and you know.
Absolutely. There are 2 diplomats on this mission. A Mr. Jones. He's technically a governor of somewhere. You're not sure where exactly. And then a Miss Eppies, who you believe might have been a senator at one point, but is perhaps retired, you would guess, based on just her age. She's a little bit older. Sedilla, I believe you said that you were going to get some sleep.
I was about to ask if are we expected to sleep on the ship, because there is a fair chance that the exciting things might happen not on the ship. during nighttime. So I was wondering if maybe Tori or Six wanted to stay out with me for a little bit.
I was actually going to suggest that 647 and I take watch and at least secure the perimeter around the ship and whatever encampment we have. Because, like, I don't trust the night. Don't know about you, but things tend to go stabby in the night, or boom, or lasery, or,
I
you
feel
know, any
offended
other
you
things.
didn't consider Sedilla.
I mean, I was including you in that.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
Practically.
Mm-hmm.
So, would the three of you like to go and kind of keep watch on the exterior of the ship?
Sure.
Definitely.
Only one person can destroy the ship, and it's me. No one else
Duly
can go
noted.
near it.
Well, I always assumed Sedilla would do it from the inside. And Doc,
Exactly.
what are you up to right now? I imagine there are no injuries or anything from the science team. Maybe like a stubbed toe at worst, but nothing that would require your expertise. Would you be interested in joining these companions of yours outside? Would you be involved with the science team? What are you up to? You're muted.
Sorry. I think what I'll have done is, as like the science team comes back in from the outside, I'll have like asked for like a small tissue sample or like a blood sample to like start doing tests to see if like they might have picked up anything from interacting with the environment, any like parasites or anything, just to like make sure that they're not bringing anything back up into space with them that we don't want to bring back into space with us.
Yeah, some basic health screens. That's a good idea. So you can go ahead and do that, and the science team will each kind of filter through, and you'll have a moment to check vital signs, make sure that there's nothing crazy. If you want to give me a medicine check for that, that would be great. Meanwhile, the rest of y'all and Zeke, you can choose to go along or not, whatever you would like to do. You can step outside. And as you do that, go ahead and give me perception checks for Night Watch. What do you got, Doc?
Got a 19 for medicine.
A 19. You are pretty confident that no foreign diseases or substances or things like that have made their way onto the ship. Blood chemistry levels are going to be slightly different based off of breathing the nitrogen-rich air, but that is the extent of a difference that you would notice. Nothing abnormal.
Good to know.
So for my perception check, I got a natural 2. So I used an advantage and rolled a natural 1.
Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
probably going to stick with the natural 2 then, right?
Sure.
For a total of
1.
Okay, perfect.
Wait, were we supposed to roll along with 647 if we were with?
Yes, everyone can roll that perception check.
Yeah, so I did not use an advantage. And I rolled an 8 for a 7 because I also have -1 on perception.
All right, and
'Cause
Zeke
it's
got a
wisdom
4.
thing.
Wait, it's actually a 5.
A 5. Zeke got a 5.
How am I the most wise one here? Because I have a 0, but I managed to roll an 18.
Okay. So, here's how I picture this going down. 647 and Zeke and Sedilla are, walking around, looking around. The stars are immaculate. And you'll notice that it's cooling off slightly here in the evening now that the sun has gone down, but not a lot. Then you hear that strange cawing/coughing bird noise in the distance, and everyone is super distracted by that, except for Tori. Tori, you, as you're looking around, are actually probably aware of the fact that you might be the only one actually keeping watch at this point. Mm-hmm. But then again, it was your idea, so that makes sense. As you're doing a sweep of the perimeter, you would I think you would notice two things.
Mhm.
The first thing you will spot is the mountain. There's this large mountain nearby. Um, During the day, you hadn't noticed it, um, but you could swear there are points on the side of the mountain that appear to be glowing ever so slightly. Just a very, very um, dim green light. You're not sure if that's naturally occurring from something with bioluminescence or if there's something artificial causing this light. But there's definitely something lighting it up. And the second thing that I think you would notice is that at night, the bugs that seemed to have been remaining underground earlier have now come up and are walking around on top of the surface, almost as if now that it is a little bit cooler and a little bit darker, they have emerged. And so you would see small centipedes and worms and other types of bugs crawling around on the ground. Nothing abnormal, nothing that seems terribly dangerous, but life seems to have emerged somewhat now that it is darker outside.
Sedilla, if you're done thinking about, stars exploding and stuff, could you come
They're
here?
the biggest explosions around. I'm just saying.
I know, and I feel you truly, but is there any way to get a scan either from the ship or other things about those glowy little points up there that you are all not looking at?
Oh wow! I did not see those lights before.
Could we get a,
Fascinating.
private pebble to look at them, or do you need to go to the ship?
So how far away are they, Josh-ish? Because I don't think my hand scanner is powerful enough for this. But
Yeah,
can I link my AI? My AI is linked to the ship. Can I use my AI to scan? It's a little Star Trekky, but can I just?
I think that's acceptable. We're playing in a sci-fi game. If you want to use the AI to use the ship scanners and report the
Yeah,
data back to your data
exactly.
pad, that's totally doable.
I'm aware that there'll be some lag, but I don't want to go past the scientists to do sciencey things because they'll bother me about it, and then I have to
That's
talk
true.
to them.
That's true. Yeah. So as you'll give this command to your AI and receive a pleasant. Okay. Let me go ahead and check the data scanners on the ship. You hear.
Thank you so much.
A moment or two, a little, and then you start to see some data readings on your pad, and it becomes well. I don't know that the ship's scanners can determine whether or not there are life forms at this distance. But you are getting some small power readings. There appears to be something causing a minor electrical surge in that direction. And I think since in this world all of technology is powered by magic, you would also be able to identify that this is maybe arcane in nature.
Tori, I have no other way of telling you this. That shit's fascinating. We have a calm, right? I was about to go like this, but that's Star Trek again. I'm sorry, I'm very single-minded in my sci-fi if I'm not careful. Can I just calm Doc and Zeke and Six is with us, so he heard this, and just sort of go. The security team could gather outside. We have some cool shit to look at and maybe blow up.
Should we maybe call one of the scientists that specializes in arcane things?
I mean, do you want to risk their lives? Can we get Doc to pay if they die?
I mean,
Zeke is smart.
If they're behind us, this should be fine, right?
Zeke does magic.
Oh, other thing I should mention, really quick. So all the bugs are coming out, which makes me concerned about how much underground life there is. So keep an eye below as well as all around.
See, I was hoping to have a look around tree roots at some point, but then you pointed out shiny things, and now I must focus on the shiny things.
I should know better by now.
You really should. But you didn't, so that's where we're going. I don't know. I have no jurisdiction. I have no idea if Doc and Zeke are actually showing up, but even if they don't,
Zeke would be.
Yeah, Doc will have made his way out of the ship after you call him.
Josh.
Alright. Yeah.
Quick question. So these peaks are arcane and magical. Are they giving off enough energy that, like, now that we're aware of them, anyone with magic could feel them, or is it still too distant? Like, how powerful are they?
They are not powerful enough that you would probably be able to feel them at this point.
Okay,
I think the only reason that the ship's scanner is able to pick them up is because it's kind of like an electrical flux, and because all of our technology runs on magic, it's kind of like picking a power spike or a power surge, effectively, in that sense.
what I'm hearing is we got to get closer.
Yeah, can we bring that ancient civilization guy too? Because if there's any life on the planet, they're probably going to go towards the magic. Wait, was this place in the dead zone?
This
It
used
was
to be
in
a
the dead
dead
zone.
magic zone. You want to bring Dr. Firestone?
Yeah, I can ring Dr. Flamey Boulder.
But wasn't he like? What's the polite term? I struggle so much with the polite term some biological life forms use. Wasn't he near death of old age?
Hard to tell.
Exactly. How do you
But I can
know
get-
when they're
oh,
about
wait.
to end?
Is he related to the
No, he's not related to the rock, I
General-
think.
No? Okay. General Geo? No? Okay. I'm going to ping that Dr. Firestone.
Sure. Yeah, a moment will go by, and he'll kind of like emerge from the ship, looking around, a little bit confused. And what's, I think, really significant to note about Dr. Firestone is he's kind of always got this like just ever so slightly like distant look in his eyes. Even now that he's like looking at all of you, you can also tell that his mind is clearly somewhere else, even though he's very much physically present here. So he'll kind of come out and be like, what seems to be happening?
We're going on an expedition.
Tori will snap in his face a couple times. Sorry to wake you up, Grandpa, but we have something to look at. So we're going on a little trip.
Oh, okay, all right. And where?
Look up.
Oh,
If there's any life forms here, they're probably going to gather. Wait, also, would you know a dead zone? So dead zone prevents magic of any kind outside of the perimeter, but does it disallow the magic on the surface of the planet?
well, yeah, I only have limited experience working within a dead magic zone because it tends to affect the magic even on the planet's surface. So you could only really get in and out with a non-arcane ship, like something like what the gnomes have created. I personally am not a very big fan of those. They tend to be a little bit bumpy.
They're amazing.
Bumpy,
So
but amazing.
My concern is twofold. One, if we were in a dead zone, or this was recently a dead zone, that could, well, three concerns, I guess. They keep adding. One, that little, glowing peaks, if this recently came out, that could be getting stronger and we don't know what it does. Two, if it was active while in a dead zone, that means it's incredibly powerful. And three, what was the third one?
I'm amazed you can count to 3. That's further than I thought
Hey.
you'd get.
Hi, I'm
Honestly.
very smart, just not very wise. What was the other one? I'll think about it for a little bit.
Whatever the other one is, I think it's also a reason for why we should go closer to it.
So do we have to climb
Josh.
up there, or can we just like shit there?
With my technologist background, would these remind me of anything that I've experienced before?
Have you ever explored ancient ruins before? I know that 647 hasn't been around that long. Have you seen something from like a long dead civilization before?
Probably not.
Wouldn't that be, sorry to interject, wouldn't that be something that I would know with my background?
you likely would have seen something like this, Zeke. I'm hesitant to say that at this distance you would be able to identify anything, because you are still several miles from the base of the mountain. I think as we get closer, it is very likely that some, if not all of you with magical inclinations would be able to identify what's going on.
Josh, I
Yeah.
do have a pair of binoculars. Can I use them to like get a closer look?
Sure.
Oh, very normal.
Yeah, as you look through your binoculars, you would notice that these kind of blips of light actually appear to be coming from inside the mountain. It looks like there's some kind of cave entrance, perhaps, and is the interior of this cave entrance where this light is coming from. I don't think you'd be able to like see what's causing the light, but you can at least tell that it is inside the mountain.
Okay. So yeah, I imagine instead of like holding up a physical pair of binoculars, you see like the ridges on his optics like kind of rotate on their own, and like the shutters inside like contract a little bit as he focuses the lenses on it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks at him for a while. There seems to be a cave entrance where the lights are coming from. Perhaps that is the source of this magic light.
That is worrisome.
Josh, before we head out, I'm just gonna go quickly work way up the ramp and dump some of the less urgent things out of my body onto the floor so I can travel a little lighter. Putting a little pile in the corner of like some money and some of the tools I use on the ship, and
Right,
carry the essentials.
You probably don't need your welding equipment. You probably
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The spare set of goggles can go. That jar with the centipede can stay.
Oh, you kept
Is that still there?
Of course it is.
I thought you got rid of it.
No, that was the slime.
Oh, right.
Just travel a little lighter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. As you do this, there's now a pile of stuff, kind of like if you die in some of those video games that leave behind.
Yes, it just sort of goes
stuff on the ground. Yeah, and so you just leave a pile of stuff back on the ship and are ready to go.
A little note card, property of Sedilla, so people know.
Have you
if it
named
touches.
the centipede?
Huh?
Have you named the centipede yet?
I have learned that things that have a short lifespan, I'm better off not naming, because other people get attached if I tell them it has a name, and then things get awkward.
Why do humans have names then?
I'm still working on that. I have a thesis, but it hasn't been accepted.
That's a fair point right there. Yeah, so are you heading off in that direction to travel?
Doctor, I don't think it would be a good idea for you to come with us on the initial expedition. If you find things that are, civilization then we can come and get you, but I believe it would be too dangerous. That's what we're here for, initial recon.
I have a counter-argument, Zeke. Are we all going? Because then this place is going to be defenseless. And we might as well take them with us.
How many are there again? That's a lot of people.
The science team consists of, so there's 4 scientists, there's 2 diplomats, and 1 cartographer, so a total of 7.
That's a lot of people to guard. Can't we just put them in the ship, leave the captain and the pilot to guard them, just hover in a little, just go do a lap in orbit, then come back?
We could take like 3 of them. We don't have to take all of them. They're all interchangeable, right?
Do that.
Why do you want to take pets?
Well,
Sorry.
we should take a cartographer so that we know where we're going and how we come back. We should take the civilization person just in case we encounter that, and then a diplomat will presumably be better at talking to alien life than yours truly. I tend to offend a lot of people.
If any of them die, it's coming out of your share of the paycheck. Because I think it's a terrible idea.
Fine.
Let's not endanger
Gang up
any
on Tory
people.
Day.
No, how about we go see if things are lethal, deal with them, and then if it's safe, we bring the people we're hired
Yes.
to keep safe.
At the very least, can we set up some sort of long distance communication so that we can give them video so that they can tell us what's going on if we encounter something?
I don't know, can you?
we?
I think that's totally doable. Perhaps if you brought an extra piece of equipment, something that Sedilla or maybe Zeke might have, you would have the equipment to relay a video feedback with
I have
relative
the
ease.
equipment. I just wanted to shit on Tori some more.
Listen, that's just rude. Also, if we do send them to hover into orbit to keep them safe from the stuff on the surface, make sure that they keep out of range of that ship that's coming.
I mean, that's why we're going low orbit and not outer space.
Well, we don't know what's
That's-
coming. They could still attack from then. There.
I have some measure of faith in Captain Stone.
Who?
True.
I think you call him Geodude.
Oh, Private Pebble.
That's the
Right.
one.
General Granite.
Yes, you have many
Whatever
names
floats
for
your
him.
boat today.
Mm-hmm. Changes by the minute, really.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just say that it takes a couple minutes to do this. And it sounds like you are not bringing the science team with you right now, but are setting up the video feed so that they can watch back on the ship.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
We're doing a live show.
They will watch your live stream of this
Yep.
exploration,
How very meta.
and they'll all like close up the ship so that no one can get in. And if they need to, they'll take off. But they'll stay on the ground for the time being. And the gunners will just be at their stations in case they need to do anything. So,
One thing.
yes.
I will once again spend the time of basically tracing these arcane runes over my cylindrical rapier and true name it once again.
Okay. Easy enough. And so you will set off towards the mountain. It's a couple miles, so it'll probably take a little bit to get there. Who would like to kind of helm in navigating this? Could you go ahead and give me a survival check?
647, do you want to give me the help action?
Sure, I can try.
I think we're the most survivor. This is what check?
Survival.
Cool. Thought so.
I would also suggest concealing ourselves. We don't know what is here.
If you would like to make stealth checks, you could do that as well.
Probably smart. One of the reasons I didn't want the scientists, they tend to be loud.
That's
Oh,
true.
wait, I have advantage. I'm not
Taking
taking
advantage.
I will definitely not take the
It was
2.
worse.
That's a 21 for survival.
All right, so you've used an advantage to give us that 21, and that's the advantage that 647 gave you. And then everyone, give me a stealth check.
I got a
10.
12 on my stealth.
Dropping
Okay.
everything everywhere.
10 from Zeke,
No, wait, 11. Sorry.
11,
Stealth.
16.
Dirty 20.
dirty 20, 16,
21 for me.
21. Okay, so we got a fair range there, but a couple of people scored really high, which will kind of counteract some slightly lower scores, and then we got a nice little balance here as the party. And so, particularly for, I think, Tori and Doc, you might hear Zeke or 647 make a loud noise and be able to help keep them from making significant loud noises as you move forward.
That's where I'm normally good at
I'll make
this.
something resembling legs for this bit. I don't want to pick up all kinds of rocks and branches while I'm slurping around, so I'll make some little legs for this.
It would be pretty easy to just
Yeah,
kind
just
of
sort of
poke
go-
out 2 pseudopods to walk on and then suck them back in later.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so, Tori, as you are leading this expedition with 647's help, you take probably the better part of 2 hours to get to the base of this mountain. And as you do, you can see that the light is a little bit brighter the closer you get. Could you give me one more perception check, specifically you, Tori, as we are trying to figure out maybe the best way to get into the mountain?
I almost dropped that again. God, I can't read these dice sometimes. Survival, I'm sorry.
Perception.
Perception. That is a 15.
A
Because
15.
I have a 0 perception.
Hey, fair enough. You are able to spot the nearest entrance is maybe a couple hundred feet kind of up on the mountain. And you think you could probably climb up there without too much of an issue. You think the whole party could do it. It's not like particularly steep where you'd have to actually climb so much as it would just be a bit of a hike to get up a couple hundred feet. Do you believe you could enter the mountain there if you wanted to?
Right. So I hope all of you wore proper footwear, because we're going to climb up and we're going to go into the hole there. A couple hundred feet.
I love going in holes.
Yeah.
That's just inappropriate.
What do you mean? I'm flexiform. I can just ooze my way in.
Oh,
It's
I suppose
amazing.
you do change to fit the size of the container that you're in?
I do.
That's indeed fun.
Excellent.
Which is part of the reason I left so much of my stuff behind.
All right, so the
Planning.
rest of us will climb, and the Cedilla will slurp up, and it'll be very entertaining.
All
As
right.
I'm climbing up, I have I forget what they're called, but basically jetpack boots that I can essentially have a fly speed equivalent to my walking speed as
Mhm.
long as I start and end on the ground. So I'm just like taking flying jetpack leaps.
All right.
and
So
getting
647 has Overwatch duty.
Rude. Can you take one of us with
A
you?
slope, or are we talking a wall?
It's definitely a slope. It's possible
Okay,
to
good.
walk up it, and shouldn't take more
Yeah,
than
but
maybe
where's the
10
fun in
minutes
that?
to do that. Well, of course, 647 is going to go whoop and just hang out up top and keep an eye on things. But
I imagine I thought about offering to carry Zeke, but I suspect that he's probably not down for that. If I thought he was, then I would have offered.
You wouldn't think he was. You think he would like to, but he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
that's fair. That's
Corey,
fair.
on the other
Straight
hand,
up
is super mad he didn't offer.
envy and amazement.
All right. So a few minutes go by as everyone is able to climb up. It's not so challenging that I'm going to require a check or anything. So eventually you get to this kind of lip where you can see into the entrance of this cave. And as you do, you would receive a radio transmission from back at the ship, coming particularly from Dr. Firestone, who is probably, you can guess by the background noise, may have annoyed Captain Stone to the point where Captain Stone has left the bridge of the ship. Particularly because you hear the sound of slamming and storming and swearing from behind. And as this takes place, you do hear. That looks fascinating. Is there a radio protocol for this? Do I have to say something for you to understand that I'm calling you? I'm very curious.
No.
Okay, great, perfect. So, can you step into the cave, the light pattern? I've been analyzing it, and it seems to hold pretty close with some prehistoric, ancient, arcane technologies that I've seen in the past. Something perhaps back from maybe 4 or 5 millennia ago, if I had to guess.
Were they
Would you guess that
dangerous
it
back
is
then?
Dangerous?
Sure, it's dangerous. It's like saying, hey, is fireball dangerous? it's no match for a spaceship, but it could still hurt you.
All right.
May I suggest that unless we address you, you don't talk?
Sure, that's fine.
It'll probably save
Going
us
to
from
be
getting
sneaky
snack
and-
on. Just saying.
Oh, okay, all
See,
right.
we're supposed to protect you, but we don't want to die either. So if you cause us to die and I survive, I'll come find you.
Oh, please, I don't want anyone to die, especially not me. And so, I'll be quiet. I'll be very quiet. And the radio shuts off immediately.
Thanks so much, Grumps.
I turn to Doc. Doc,
Yes.
you, and this is a way for me to couch the question, because I think you may say yes, but you might say no. So I'm phrasing it so it sounds like I might have doubt about your answer. So if you say no, I didn't make like a social faux pas. Did you remember when we used your drone and my data pad to scout ahead?
Would you like to use my medical drone to scout the cave?
Yes.
Very well. I will deploy the drone now. And so the little disc on my back kind of rotates and pops out, and a little medical drone hovers over my shoulder, awaiting instructions.
Can I just sort of hold my adaptable Omni tool set to scanner? Because it had little hands that held it that time, and it was adorable, and it let me scan stuff.
Yeah, so a little compartment on the bottom of the drone opens up, and these little set of sub arms pop out with little grabbers on the bottom, and they'll just like reach down, pick up the scanner.
Yeah.
Perfect. And do you send your medical drone into the cave?
Yes, I will also look through its receptors so that I can kind of guide it remotely.
Yeah, sure. So you can do that. I will say that the video feed is still centered on one of you all. So the science team isn't going to get this, but you could explain very quickly that you're going to send a scanner in just to check, and they'll probably be fine with that because they're not there anyways to complain. And if you turn the radios off, they can't talk to you. So anyways, this drone flies in, and Doc, you're able to kind of control it and see through its senses. And so you guide it into this cave. The entryway is maybe probably 70 feet long and curves ever so slightly. And as you round the corner with this drone, it opens up into a massive cavern, huge. And the first thing you notice is that it seems like the entire interior of this mountain has been carved out into a giant city. And the second thing you notice is that there is more dust here than you have ever seen in any one place before in your life. Probably like 7 or 8 inches thick layer of dust covers the entire city.
Okay. Any signs of movement in the city?
Not that you are able to detect.
My scanner is on the drone, and it is set to analyze the electromagnetic spectrum around it.
All right. And what are you hoping to find with this?
Well, you said the lights we're seeing were electromagnetic magic stuff. So something a little more pinpointing where the light comes from. Because I'm assuming that what we saw was just the glow emanating from the cave mouth.
Yeah.
But more localized.
Yeah. There are 7 hotspots that it'll identify on the interior of this cave, along the ceiling of the cavern. And Doc, as your drone would look around, you would notice that there are 7 very large glyphs carved into the ceiling of this cavern, and each one is emanating this bright green light.
Okay. So what I would like to do is, I'm gonna turn on my radio and radio the science team. Science team, I will be projecting an image of some of the things that I'm seeing in here, and then I'm going to hold my hand up with my palm up, and there's like a little projector lens on the palm, and I'm going to cast Prestidigitation a few times to like show the image of like glyphs that I'm seeing through my drone.
Okay. Yeah. That is totally doable. And so they'll see this glyph. You hear for a moment nothing, and then there's a scramble as it sounds like someone is just like smacking the shit out of a button on a radio. As you hear it's Firestone's voice, and he comes and says, that is an ancient arcane rune, something I've never actually seen the exact replica of, but it seems to be a very old magical symbol for light. This is ancient, even older than I thought, perhaps.
Can you identify what sort of culture would have made this?
To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite this old before. But it's...
I mean, you're here.
I promise you, I am not this many thousands of years old.
Could have fooled me.
Anyways, this seems like it is perhaps well over 8,000 years old, I would guess. It kind of the equivalent of have you ever read of an old glyph of warding? It's vaguely like a light version of that, but it seems permanent. It seems stationary. It's a brilliant revolution for arcane light, but seems like something beyond what I would normally expect for a civilization that has been so out of touch for so long.
Glyph of warding. That presumes that there's something to ward against?
Well, perhaps. The fantastic thing about the Glyph of Warding is it will let you cast any spell. And so you could use it to cast something, something like a light spell that is, let's say, not combative.
Oh. Should we go in and get a closer look?
If I may ask another question, Doctor? If you're
Yes.
still there. Do you know of any significance with these glyphs and the number 7?
Well, ancient technology, ancient civilizations often, had numbers that they found significant, and 7 is commonly considered a significant number. Whether or not there's a direct correlation, or perhaps just some kind of happenstance that causes the two to be together is I would have to do some research, maybe dig into records if they have anything, find out a little bit about what this society believed.
All right. Thank you.
No, of course.
Oh, going closer? Staying here? Going back? What's the verdict?
I say we go in. I mean, nothing happened to the drone, so presumably there's nothing like in the air that would be triggered. We just gotta keep an eye out on the surface.
Sure. Yeah. If y'all are heading in, that's easy enough to do. I presume that you would call the drone back and grab your scanner and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume that you recollect all of the things that are yours.
I think I stated in session 0 that I will never leave one of my babies behind. Unless
Understood.
it is meant to be a disposable, but the Omni tool
Is not.
it is not.
It is very indisposable. Yes, so.
Takes me many hours to make a new one, let's put it that way.
Yes, it comes back. You're able to recollect your things and enter into the cavern as you walk through. Now, seeing it in person, what is shocking and perhaps most noticeable to you is how dead quiet the interior is. Outside, there was, the quiet noise of birds or some small wildlife, but the interior is silent, eerily so. And so as
Tori
you,
is silent. That's new.
yeah, unless y'all speak up to break the silence, there's no sound whatsoever.
I think Tori knows better than to make sound here.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it is very odd.
I would definitely be keeping an eye out for basically everything that was about to attack us.
Mhm.
Understood.
I'll grab a blaster out again, along with everything else in the pseudopods.
Oh yeah, I definitely have my sword out, my laser sword,
sure.
and my blaster.
I'm assuming
Yeah.
6 is.
I would have my shield up and a blaster, and probably standing near Zeke.
Okay. As you enter in with weapons at the ready, it remains silent. There's no movement. And aside from the light, which is very steady, it's not flickering or anything, there doesn't seem to be anything of note immediately. As you enter in, there's maybe 30 or 40 feet before you start to see stone buildings that appear to be carved out of the rock that you're in. It seems to be an entire city with buildings of varying sizes and roads that are all pretty easy to traverse, no less than 10 feet wide. You don't see anything that looks like a vehicle, but there is very clear paths between buildings.
Josh, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, like, when you're describing this, is this like an ancient ruin like we would see on Earth, or is it like something we could consider more modern, just carved out of stone, and it's a ruin because we're super in the future?
The closest thing that you would compare this to would be like a dwarven undermountain civilization. Everything is carved out of stone. Because there's no wear and tear of elements, it's not like the buildings have collapsed. Everything seems to be intact, structurally sound. It's made out of stone. There's no reason for it not to be. But initial estimate, no one has been in here for hundreds of years at the very least. Perhaps
and there's
longer.
no footprints in the dust besides our own, no like skeletons or any kind of remains anywhere?
Nothing immediately visible, no.
Do any of you have the ability to scan like biological signatures or material or anything?
Point to Doc.
Doc, my buddy, can you examine the dust for me?
It
Yes,
used to be
I was just about to
people.
do so.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'd like to produce like a vial and like you see like one of the panels on my arm kind of open up and a small sub arm appears as I deploy my Omni tool, and I'm gonna like sweep a little bit of the dust into the vial to get a better look at it, to try to see if like where this dust came from. Like if it is it like dead skin tissue, would it have come from like maybe clothing that's disintegrated over time, or maybe just like some other kind of mineral that has kind of come from somewhere in this cave?
Yeah, sure. The dust comes from a collection of things. There is some dead biological matter. There is certainly some that appears to have just come from the stone here. It's kind of a fair mixture of things, of sources. And you are scanning for life forms, yes?
Yeah.
You cannot seem to find anything. If people lived here, you think it's fair to assume that they have not lived here in a long, long time.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cap the vial. I'm going to store it in a compartment so that we can bring it back to the ship for better analysis. Did I detect any like toxins or anything in the dust that we might want to avoid breathing?
No, nothing unsafe.
Are there any traces of magic in there?
Maybe from a long, long time ago. Nothing unexpected or crazy. If this civilization did have magic, it is not absurd to assume that there'd be a little bit of magic, but nothing worrisome.
Can we go into any of the houses?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are doors, and for the most part, if you try them, they're unlocked. Are you looking around, checking out buildings?
Yes. Just
I would be going.
anything cool. I'm assuming Six and Tori will find dangerous things. I just want cool things.
Sure. What were you saying, Six?
Yeah, I would be trying to accompany her, preferably going in before she does.
Yeah.
If she will let me.
Of course, I will let you. I'm too young and pretty to die.
I can keep watch of whatever the others are doing and look out for dangerous things. So if Doc or Zeke wants to do something.
All right. Sure.
When did you say, or do we know when this planet entered the Dead Magic Zone?
I don't think that anyone would know off the top of their head. It has been in the Dead Magic Zone for as long as society has been aware of space travel. At least to your knowledge, this city has, or this planet has not existed outside of the Dead Magic Zone. Granted, space travel's probably only been a thing for maybe 1,000, 2,000 years or so, but you have no reason, no frame of reference for how long ago this place may have potentially entered a Dead Magic Zone, if it did.
Okay. And then I will look for clues about how the fuck they were able to keep magic going in potentially a Dead Magic Zone.
Sure. Yeah, give me an investigation check for that. Meanwhile, as Cedilla and 647, you are entering a building, looking around. Could I get a quick perception check from one or both of you?
How about I help you?
Okay,
I
I
mean,
need
we
all the
both
help I
have a
can
-1. This isn't going to end well either way.
Well, with my rolls, that's a natural 7 and another natural 7, so that's a 6.
Okay.
Perfectly
Duly noted.
safe.
Yeah, and Zeke, what did you get on that investigation?
16.
A 16. Okay. You spot a building that looks like it might be the equivalent of a library or an old ancient equivalent of a library. And so you think that might be a good place to look. And if you'd like, you can start heading that direction. Cedilla and 647, as you are in this building, it appears to be someone's home, or was someone's home. It's residential. There's not quite as much dust on the inside, but there is still a layer of dust. And as you look around, I mean, you see there's like a table that appears to have been set for a meal. You see that there is furniture that seems relatively undisturbed. And as you walk around, I think you kind of stop looking for other things when you see what is just a skeleton lying in bed, blanket pulled up over it. But it's a skeleton, decayed to the point of there being nothing left to decay.
Humanoid skeleton?
Vaguely
So-
humanoid.
With a background in xenobiology, can I tell a little more about what it used to be?
Sure.
I won't
Uh,
make you spend 15 minutes
yeah.
describing this time.
Thank you. Based on the stature, you believe this is probably a halfling. Not positive what gender it would have been, but definitely a halfling.
I would,
Probably dead 5,000 years,
wow.
give or take.
Is
I
there-
will radio this to the rest.
Is there any technology that we're seeing in this house at all?
In as far as anything that would be equivalent to the technology that you know, no.
Or anything that's like not, simple handmade?
Have
like-
they discovered the wheel?
Um,
Trying to get
they've
an overall
probably
sense of the
discovered the wheel. I mean, for the most part, like furniture is made out of wood. There might be like some fabric. So I mean, textiles are a thing in that sense. But you're not seeing anything like there's no tech pads. There's nothing that resembles electricity. It's if there's magic, it is probably very rudimentary.
Ask any more glyphs, active or otherwise?
On the interior of the building, you do not see any glyphs. You do see that there is a sconce where a torch would have used to have been.
So, Sedilla,
Why would you need a torch if you have ever glowing light room?
Sedilla, you said you told us all that, right?
Yeah, I'm just sharing this with everyone.
So Tori will radio you back and say, so the corpse is 5,000 years old, and old Grandpa Flame said that it was like possibly an 8,000-year older city. Is it possible that this city predates when they went to the Dark Zone and these people settled here later? Because obviously the city is arcane in nature, but it's completely possible that when they went into the Dark Zone and became inactive. It's also possible maybe it went in and out more than once, and the city, whatever magic was powering it, went out. And then whenever that happened, maybe that's what happened to all the people here. Because if the wood is around and the body is still around, that means that something killed them suddenly, right?
What I find interesting is that the corpse has a blanket pulled up.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's my concern.
Like it's just withered away. If it was an attack, it might have been a psychic one like we know. Or a sickness, a disease, something like that.
Toxin in the air?
I don't detect any psionic things, or I didn't. Do I now?
No toxins.
Not as of right now. You don't detect anything.
Could I have made my way to where they found the skeleton to like kind of take a look at it?
Yeah, of course.
Stay safe, Doc.
Which I did might also be magical in nature.
Yeah, and what exactly are you looking for, Doc?
I would like to check for any signs of like damage to the bones to maybe see if I can determine like a possible cause of death. So any like chipping or like scratches on the bones. Maybe some of them are any of them like out of place.
In this case, it doesn't seem like it. It seems like this person, based on what you're seeing, may well have died in their sleep. But you don't like notice anything that seems off or indicate that there was a struggle or significant damage done to the person.
Judging by the size of the bones and like the proportions, can I like get an estimate of how old the halfling might have been when they passed?
Probably in their like late 40s, if you had to guess.
Pretty young then, for halfling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to check out this library here. I think it's the library. Does somebody want to accompany me?
I'm already with you because Doc went off. So, yeah, I was keeping guard. and I figured Doc would be fine with 647 and Sedilla.
Yeah, I was lost in thought. I didn't see you there.
I have that effect when I'm quiet. It's a rare occurrence. You should
It is-
enjoy it while it
yes.
lasts.
It is very disconcerting, to be honest.
Tori just smiles at you, big old toothy grin.
Right, let's move on then to the library.
Whee!
So, Zeke and Tori, you enter into this library. The door sticks a little bit, probably just because the hinges haven't been used in a while. But you're able to open it. Again, you see a similar covering of dust. Inside this building, there is one light glyph on the ceiling. Seems large enough to provide at least dim light for the entire interior of the building. You imagine that there might have been some other sources of light in here if people were trying to actively read. But as you look around, these are old books. For the most part, they are not even books so much as scrolls, scratched on things like animal hide. And while there may be some books, still they're using animal skin as covers and pages. This is pretty old stuff.
As I see the 8th glyph, I visibly relax.
Okay.
You like being around books then, huh? Your shoulders just went
Yes.
from like here to here.
Yes, books. I do like books. Are these are these still? I don't believe these are still readable, are they?
What languages do you know, actually?
I know pathetically few languages, which is Common and Sylvan, I believe.
I know Common, Elven, and
Oh.
Gnome.
I know Common, Sylvan, Infernal, and Primordial.
Okay. A lot of this text is not in a language that I think either of you would know. But there is maybe a small snippet here or there that you would find in common, or at least with similar enough roots that you could figure it out from something else. It seems like there are multiple languages represented here in the library, but the majority is something that neither of you know. Yes.
I was just gonna say in radio, one of the more techie people. Do any of you do like translation software or anything like that?
A moment passes, and then you hear back on the line from Dr. Firestone. Well, I can read and write pretty much any language, but I have to see it in person.
Zeke, should we take a few of these back to Sedilla? I believe she has a radio feed.
Yeah, sure. Let me just quickly pick out the few ones that I think are most important to us.
Have at it.
Sure. Give me a general intelligence check to see if you can identify what might be the most
Cannot
significant.
roll above double digits.
Can I help?
That's 11. Oh.
Sure, you could help.
Try again.
That's better. That's an 18.
An 18.
Thank you.
All right. So, between the two of you, you identify a couple books that you think might be significant. One of them it's very large. It looks like it might be like a history of some type. Another one seems maybe more magical in nature. You kind of guess this based on some of the glyphs that you see on the cover of the book. And you grab a couple other odd ones that you think may or may not have something interesting. Of note, while the planet itself is still warm, it is slightly cooler on the inside of the mountain. Probably in an almost reasonably breathable temperature, probably in like the 85 degree Fahrenheit range. Almost comfortable, almost. As you poke around and eventually head back, I'll say this takes maybe 10-15 minutes. In that time, Sedilla, 647, and Doc, are you looking in other buildings or kind of hanging out in that same building?
I do want to look in other buildings. I also had a question because you
Yeah.
said it all looked very dwarfish. Sedilla's been out and about for a fair bit now. In general, halflings live, fluffy pillows, good food, comfy everything. Does this look like halflings moved into a dwarven city?
Maybe. It's not necessarily that the architecture is distinctly dwarvish, so much as I was drawing a comparison to what the architecture might look like in terms of how an underground city would be structured, built out of stone. There might be things that are dwarven in nature, but this is also so terribly old that anything that you consider dwarven in your mind could very well still be different from something thousands of years old.
Sure. The next question I had there is like a larger building that looks whether a wealthier person would have lived there or a larger family would have lived there, just more to look at.
Yeah. I would say maybe a block or so over, you would find a much larger building. Seems more
also
extravagant.
Assuming the other two are following me. By the way, I'm just slurping around.
I would be following her and trying to keep track of where the others are.
Yeah, absolutely. As you travel to this other building, of note, the dust is significant and tends to just get everywhere as you stir it up. Just to keep that in mind as we're kind of setting the scene here. You enter into...
In that case, every few meters, I'll just sort of reform the dust out of me.
Yeah.
Drop it in a pile, keep going, gather it up out of me, keep going.
I'll say this can just be a constant cycle of just expunging...
I'm just cycling the dust out.
Yep. Expunging the amoeboid form of dust.
I'm just reminded of when, like, slime gets stuck in, like, flour or something.
I am less disgusting than that. Thank you very much. Also, I'm sentient, so hush. No, yes. I'll just be running the cleaning cycle perpetually right now.
You make it to this slightly larger building. It is extravagant. There's more decorative, like, carvings on the outside. And as you go in, I think it's fair to say that you would indicate to Tori and Zeke where you are, but they could probably also follow the path of cleared dust that you have made too. As you are in this building, unlike the other one, this one seems to have had a lot more in it, including like stone furniture with like pelts of animals used as padding. Slightly nicer, a little bit more going on. There are no bodies inside this building, but you would note that there seems to have been a little more disturbance in here. Whomever last left it, like a chair is overturned, and it doesn't look like this was left in perfect condition. There's like a half-eaten bowl of something that is so long been taken over by mold and stuff that it is pretty much a rock at this point. Kind of an unpleasant smell. But we have 2 Vect and an amoeba, so I'm not positive how much actual smelling y'all are doing.
I can smell, I just don't care.
Fair enough. So it seems like whomever was in here may or may not have left this place in a hurry, which is a significant contrast from the other house. But there are no bodies in here.
How many buildings are we seeing here?
Oh, a few hundred, pretty easily. I mean, this is not a massive city, but it is also not tiny.
And are we able to see what's beyond the buildings, or
the entire interior of the cavern seems to be filled with buildings as far as you can see, as far as you can tell. Yeah. As you are in here looking around, Tori and Zeke will rejoin with the group, now with a small stack of books.
Doc, it smells like the Thunder Toads in here.
You're
You're
muted.
muted.
I don't know half of those words.
I would not know. I do not possess olfactory sensors.
Oh, sorry. Sedilla, the Thunder Toads were a group that we were with a little while ago, before we joined here. They smelled really bad. Really, really bad.
That sounds very unpleasant.
It was, we did not stay long.
A few weeks.
Smelled like sewer water and bad breath. Anyway, we got scrolls for the Dorky types back on the ship. Hopefully one of them can translate a few.
So are we going back already?
No, we have a video feed that you're running, so we can just show them. Did you forget?
No, I just don't like them talking to me.
That's fair.
Neither do I, but we're gonna deal with it.
I can do the
Let me
talking
just-
if you want.
If you like, after we get paid, you can make them blow up. That was a joke, not
Ooh.
serious. Not serious,
Oh.
Sedilla.
Don't
blow up,
toy
don't-
with my emotions like that, Tori.
Don't blow up
Honestly.
never blow up your employers unless they're bad.
All right, look. Zeke, do the talking. We'll hold up the scrolls. There were no bodies in this house, but this house looks messier.
And it stinks. Wait, oh yeah, you said there was a body. And it
No,
stinks.
not in this one. Other one.
There's not a body in this one. It is very, very old, decayed food left out on the table.
Wait, the food still has a smell?
Well, it's so old that
Yes.
it is effectively a rock, but there's just kind of this lingering, like, kind of unpleasant, almost musty kind of undertone because the building has been more or less sealed. I mean, like when the door was shut.
I mean, if it was sealed, we'd smell dust and stuff, but presumably the fungus or mold that was growing on the food wouldn't be able to survive down here, so...
Let's
That's
say we didn't
concerning.
measure
Space
anything living.
fungus.
Space mold.
You
That's
don't know
true.
the rules of space fungus?
I don't know the rules of space fungus. Space fungus also describes my personality.
We're about to learn. So can we hold the scroll up for Dr. What's his face?
Yes.
Fire and Brimstone.
Yes, you do
Very
that.
suspicious name.
You do that, and Dr. Firestone.
Dr. Sulfur.
Yes. Takes a moment. You hear this kind of some puttering to himself over the line, and then, okay, well, so this seems to be some kind of history. I'm assuming that's the book that you're holding up for him. There's a history book, an arcane book, or something else.
Mhm.
The history. It seems to be some kind of old history of a civilization. They're talking about, the founding of the city, digging out the inside of the mountain. What happens later on in the text that's going to be more interesting, I feel like, than digging out the city in terms of determining if there's any kind of danger. I'm not an archaeologist. I don't care about building the city so much.
That's not what we asked you. We just really need to know what's in it so we can prepare.
Well, yeah, so can you
We'll skip
move to that-
forward a little bit.
skip
Besides
forward a
Zeke-
few
Perhaps-
chapters?
Yeah.
What
Tori,
language is
Zeke
it
was
written
doing the Tori, Zeke was doing the talking because we
Sorry.
couldn't be nice, remember?
How short-lived it was.
I don't like being nice. Waste time.
And
Um,
be silent.
Yes.
Right, before we continue with the history one, I've got another one here, something about Arcana. If you can take a look at that and perhaps tell me what it says.
No, sure. He'll tell you. This appears to be some kind of. It's an interesting language. Its roots appear to be dwarven, but or I should say, appears to be dwarven. It appears to have dwarven cognates. Maybe some kind of ancient cousin to dwarven, but comparable. There's some interesting things mixed in there. Fortunately, I can read it. It's this magic one. Yes, it describes discovering the power of magic.
How?
Something about drawing from the core of the mountain, giving a magical essence. That explains why the magic is perhaps strongest and most significantly noticeable inside the mountain. Um,
Is the is the core of the mountain an entity?
y- I'm looking at one page. You'd have to give me a little more time
Yes.
to look. And so if you give him a couple of pages, some time to read, he'll kind of talk you through the entire text.
Zeke will
It's
appear very impatient.
okay. Duly noted. Um, it seems like they were able to dig out some. Uh, I can't tell. There's not a one-to-one translation exactly. If it was some kind of mineral or some kind of crystal, it appears to be the root of the magic. But then it does describe a living essence in some ways. It's fascinating. I've never quite heard magic described like this. And then
Organic?
go on a couple more pages. It seems like they were trying to do some testing, some studies of this, but it's all very rudimentary. I mean, it's starting by seeing if they can pull properties of light out of the magic, and then it's all like experimenting with basic magic, the kind of thing that you would learn in an old wizard school, like on your first day. It seems like they taught themselves magic from this element, whatever it is. And going on for a while. I don't know how long or how much you want to go with this. Would you try to get through the
However long the
entire
other
text?
group wants to keep him going or let him
This
keep going.
is-
Sure, the amoeba holding the camera will be very bored faster than Zeke would like.
We
Very
could go
fair.
for hours here. I mean, this is his area of study. He's reading about arcane stuff from ancient history, from a never before discovered society. He will read the entire book cover to cover if you let him.
Zeke will let him.
I think neither Tori nor Sadilla has that patience. I mean, Six and Doc would probably be happy to stand guard for a little while. Zeke is into this. Just give the hollow sphere to Doc and maybe wander off a little again.
Doc is actually, if I have time, I would like to get a mold sample. Just
Okay.
like bring it back to the ship so that they can take a closer look at it, because it's a life form, right? Mold.
Yeah, absolutely. You're able to collect a sample, easy enough. Can you give me in a number of hours how long you would like to let Dr. Firestone read this text before you eventually stop? If we reach the end of the text, that's fine.
I would say maybe 2, because by that point he realized that they could have gone back by now and would propose to do that.
Sure. Yes. So I'll say the last little bit as you eventually decide to cut him off is Dr. Firestone is reading, and he's talking about discovering properties from this thing, this element, and then eventually it seems to take on this life of its own. And at first it seems very positive, and then it seems to be more like that of and he struggles to find a word, an equivalent for it for a while. It seems like a life form that takes over other life forms. And there's a pause.
A parasite?
It seems parasitical in nature, but magic.
Powerful enough to be the thing that also gives magic to others.
Perhaps. And then we'll read on a little bit farther, and the last thing that he'll read before you cut him off, they describe somewhere during a particular moon cycle. I don't have any frame of reference, but they give a date. It's not a star date, so I don't know how long ago it was. It's got to be something based off of their civilization. They describe a day when the lights went out and the sky went dark. And the only thing remaining was this parasite. The only thing with any magic was this parasite. And only those that they used the word infected, had magic. And it became violent, hostile.
That
It
is
mentions
concerning.
a research lab.
Where?
Locking something in a research lab somewhere in the city. I would very much like to. I would very much like to look at this in person. It seems
No,
like.
you wouldn't.
No, I'm talking about the book. I would like to see
Oh.
the book in person.
Yes, I will be. Sorry. He kind of shakes himself out of stupor and looks at the others for the first time, like an hour or something. Oh God. How? Are you all okay with going back here? Because these books are interesting, and I believe we might make more headway with us two having to work on them together without this. He gestures to the projector. So no, you're not. Where's Fine. Are you fine with going back?
I imagine I would have stepped out and been like patrolling around by now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you would have noticed anything. It seems like the city is pretty dead.
I mean, we did our initial check, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see any problem in going back.
All
I
right.
think you would have been happily showing Omni grenade settings to Tori, and I'll be happy to get moving again.
Ooh.
This one does lighting, and this one does fire.
Can I throw one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you want to pick a setting at random?
Sure.
You roll me a d4.
Will do.
Sorry, Josh, we have to blow something up before this game ends, or I'll
Three.
never be happy again.
Even though I
Oh,
dropped
you
it
get
the
the
first
ice
time.
setting.
Ooh, ice grenade. Oh, this is
So-
gonna be as cold as my heart.
I don't know where you're throwing it. That might be interesting.
Yes, where are you throwing this? This is important.
Into a secret
Am I throwing it
research.
now? Tori would totally throw it now. You probably meant to give it to her for later, but she just takes it and goes, ooh, and chucks it as far into the city as she can throw it,
Sure. Okay.
away from the others.
And how much damage does this do, Sedilla?
Depends on if there's a creature nearby to make a dexterity saving throw, because if they fail, it's 5d8.
Oh, what a waste.
No, I have lots of these. Don't worry about it.
Tori, could you roll 5d8 for me, please? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, and if there's anything there, their speed is halved for a little bit. But
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything there. Crawling towards us.
Said 5?
Yes.
Because I have the improved version, otherwise it would only be 4.
That's 20 damage.
Thank you. You chuck this and can't even quite see exactly where the explosion takes place, but there is a loud bang as you hear the sound of a building maybe collapsing, you think, possibly, as there are shards of ice sprayed everywhere. And as this happens, there's a momentary rumble, and the sound of this explosion echoes through the cavern numerous times before ultimately it does return to normal silence. But there's a moment where there's a bit of a disruption in here.
I'll send my spider bot to go get what's left of the Omni grenade, because it's cheaper to make a new one if I have the leftovers of the old one.
Yeah, totally fair.
If the scientists ever come up here, it was like that.
Yep.
Yep.
Found it that way.
Uh-huh.
Doc doesn't
Somewhere
even
deep
like
within the city. What the fuck?
Doc doesn't even like turn to face the explosion, you just see like the circular plate on the side of his head open up and a radio antenna come out as he turns on his comms. Tori,
Uh-huh.
what did you do?
How do you know it was me and not Sedilla?
Tori,
What? What?
are you hurt?
No. But that building might be. Maybe we should check it. Did anyone go in that one?
I don't think anyone had been in that particular building yet.
I did send my spider bot ahead.
Yes.
Get the track.
Spiderbot collects your the remnants of this grenade device, and as you go and look, the front portion of the wall is missing a large chunk, and part of the building has kind of just collapsed sideways, so it's kind of half caved in.
Yep, it was like that when I found it. Literally, I never saw this building before. I found it, it was collapsed. Time to go.
Sedilla, you're my favorite. Just so you know.
I mean, I get that. I appreciate you, I do.
I appreciate you too so much. You make things go boom, and then you're willing to lie.
All right. What let's do, because we are getting to the end of our time here. Let's go ahead and say that you will take the books that you have found and head back to the ship to reconvene with the science team. And we will leave off for the time being here. So let's go around really quickly, and I'll have everyone share who they are and your favorite part of the session today. And I can go first for that. My name is Josh. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Joshua M. Simons. I stream here on Twitch sometimes, and my Twitch account is just Joshua Simons because someone stole my M. Aside from doing this, I sometimes write tabletop stuff. That's all you gotta know. My favorite part of the session, I think it's the nicknames that Tori kept coming up for Dr. Firestone. There are some really good ones. I was particularly fond of a few of them. Geodude in particular.
That one was Anik, just so you know.
Oh, that was Anik. And that was for Captain Stone, wasn't it?
I feel overlooked and neglected. That's
Don't worry,
fine.
I got you, so you can get recognition.
Thank you, Sephi.
All
At
the
least someone
recognition.
appreciates me.
I definitely do.
Sephi, why don't you tell us who you...
Hi, I'm Persephone. I am Persephoroth on Twitter and Twitch. Most of the stuff that I do is like cosplay modeling, but I also run my own D&D podcast called Fast Times at D&D High, which you can find on any podcast providing thing. And my favorite part of the session, okay, come on, I can't not be happy about blowing something up, but something that doesn't involve me. I was really, really, really amused by Zeke's redirection in the library when Tori was like, "Oh, you like books? That makes you calm down." And you're just like, "Yeah, books, totally." It was great. Also, everything about Sedilla.
Yeah, Sedilla.
Thank you. My name is Anik. You can find me on Twitter at Anikster. I am finishing up a Ryutama streamed game this Monday on Welcome to the Party. After that, I think the next thing I've planned is actually on Open for Adventure again. And other than that, I sometimes paint stuff. I'm open for commissions. Find things on my Twitter. I think that covers it. Favorite bit? Well, there is the part where I gave an explosive to Tori, who instantly threw it, as opposed to Zeke, who's been carrying my present to him for 2 episodes already, including our session 0, and is still too afraid to press the button, which is very in character, and it also entirely frustrating. And I really like how Six describes how his shield sort of unpacks as he gets ready to defend all of us as we do dangerous things.
Yes. Zeke.
Yeah, I am Swapper. I can be found on Twitter under @GreatSimplicity, where I make items unless I'm too lazy, which increased. But yeah, my favorite part of the session was, I think, the moment after the grenade went off and Doc just did his thing with Tori. That was absolutely amazing. Also, the little hints he dropped, background story wise, that was good. I like that. Also,
Sure.
nerding out over books.
Hey, we like books here. Doc.
Yeah, I am Rakolai or Rakolai. Rake, Rack, anything goes. I'm a mod over on Justice Channel, and this is actually my first time appearing on the Open for Adventure channel. And you can find me on Twitter at Rakolai _. Sometimes I like funny videos, and sometimes I'll post art, such as the art that I did for the character intro reel. As far as my favorite part, I want to say my favorite part was probably the fact that Dr. Firestone annoyed Captain Stone out of the bridge. I think he's going to be a very fun NPC to listen to.
May or may not be based on someone I know in real life. 647.
Hey, I'm Andrew, aka Fellowship of the Tables. You've probably seen me around the Discord, on Twitter, and Fellowship OTT. I work on this little wiki project you may have heard mentioned once or twice. Also coming up, I will be, and this is the first time this is being announced publicly, I will be a player on a stream on Wiley Hobbit's Twitch channel. Wiley Hobbit is a longtime friend of the channel, and I will be playing as a character in a D&D campaign set in the Forgotten Realms there in the Dalelands. So that should be a lot of fun. Dates are still being worked out, but keep an ear out for that. My favorite part of the session was probably several of us walking out to go on watch and then just all rolling terribly.
Yes, that was fantastic. We had some great moments. We really did. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our game here. Before I get to our Warm Fuzzies, I want to remind you that we have some other games on the channel right now, including tomorrow afternoon. You'll find us here for Sunday Friends at 3:30 Central Time, I think. Monday nights, we're here for Fates Chosen at 6:30 Central Time. There's a game on Tuesday nights at 6:30 Central Time, Modern Gods, which I'm in, DM'd by our good friend Sombrero, Juan Carlos. I think there's a one-shot on Wednesday this week. And then on Friday nights, there's the Elder Scrolls game, which some of our friends are in. And is that at 6:30 Central Time as well? I think so. I'm not positive. There's Iron Battalion on Wednesday. That's right. I'm in Iron Battalion. Hey, heck yeah. I forgot about that. That's happening. I'm very excited. And Sunsets is at 6. That's the Elder Scrolls game on Friday. So we've got a whole week's worth of awesome content here. So come hang out with us and join us for those things. Before we go, I do want to thank all of our Warm Fuzzies, because your support is what lets us do things like this, which I've had a lot of fun with. So I'm not as excitable and flowery as some people, but we've got Belle Chavez, we've got Christina, we've got Sev, we've got Quincy, we've got Gamer Lives with a 1 and a 3, we've got Patrick, and here at our very own show, we have Andrew, Fellowship at the Tables, the Bay of Gifts himself. And thank you so much for all of your help with tech stuff earlier. I'm very glad that you were here with us. It was phenomenal. Okay, friends, we're gonna go.
after this stream ends, we are going to head over and raid D&D Beyond because they are doing their 3-year anniversary right now with 3 back-to-back-to-back level 20 one-shots. They've already finished their Clerics one-shot. They're in the middle of their Artificer one-shot, and the next up is the God Squad Paladin one-shot. And I think that's going to be fun, so that's where we're going to go. This is the channel, Open for Adventure. You can find us on social media at Open4Adventure. Thank you for being here. And go check out Mage Hand Press. That's all for now. Bye.